cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in to. It's time again to cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in to. It's the number one podcast. The topics of discussion when we broadcast. So all them artificial man jokes, we do it natural from the concrete to a public standpoint. Real, wherever you're from, life is coexistence, but to know the real, you just gotta listen. Wherever you're from, life is coexistence, but to know the real.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 52 Scott Podcast. I'm your host, K Money, and in the building with me, my co-host Slash, Freddie G, and Comedian 96. Collectively, we are the Mind of Men. You can find us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast, Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast, and if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and or subscribe. Welcome, fellas, to another True Tuesday episode. As y'all know, last week we spoke on love and parenting, where a father put out his 14-year-old daughter for having her second child. Well, today's topic, man, is a different type of parenting that I thought we'd discuss, which I consider to be spiteful parenting. And I'm going to play a snippet out of that I saw and heard from Fox News out of Dallas, Texas.
Well, police in Paris in northeast Texas say a father admitted he poured gasoline into his infant daughter's mouth. 24-year-old Edgar James Bridgman is now charged with attempted capital murder. The baby is recovering tonight at Children's Medical Center in Dallas.
Now, as y'all heard, those charges were rather gruesome, and, I can't even imagine what would lead a parent to wanting to harm their child, especially an infant child that really has no options on what they do or how they do it. They're pretty much at the disposal of their parent.
Right. So
to hear this man giving this infant female child gasoline and feeding her, he definitely didn't have anything positive on his mind to do something of that sort.
Not at all.
Purpose was on his mind.
Like I said last week, we talked about a parent that was putting his child out, which was, in my opinion, tough love. And I'm not saying he was right or wrong. We did discuss this last week, but this guy here that chose to give his child gasoline as a means of feeding her, and I'm not sure what he thought would come out of this other than, her possibly losing her life. But like we heard in the story, she is recovering. Good thing. Thank God. Mm-hmm. But just the, this child is going to be, I feel, tarnished by this sinful act at an early age and won't even understand what possibly effects could come from, him giving her gasoline. Mm-hmm. I'm glad he confessed to it, and I'm glad that, he was caught. Mm-hmm. But just, again, the spitefulness, and it's not really said as to why he did it, but it's speculated that because the mother of the child, and keep in mind, this is his biological daughter. Mm-hmm. This is not a stepfather or just a boyfriend that's with a female with child. This is his biological. This is his biological daughter. So he had every right to be around the child. But I'm sure he's probably fucked that up now after, doing this type of harm. It's really no excuse, to be honest with you. I can't even sit here and try to justify or fathom why he even, attempted to do this other than being spiteful for for the mother of the child not wanting to be with them, which, it also leads me to another story that we did called The Power of the Pussy, which we did some time back, but it just shows how powerful when guys, I guess, get involved with a certain type of female, the things that they would do, when that relationship is cut off. And I just think it's a sad situation and a sad story altogether. How you fellas feel about what y'all just heard?
This was weird because most of the time, and it's sad. It's weird and it's sad. Most of the time, it's usually not the biological. It's usually a babysitter or someone that is watching.
Or a
stepfather that will do harm. This one is, you're the biological father, man. There's really no excuse. But I would want to know where his mental was. Was he mentally stable? I would want to know that about him, because somebody in a right mind doing this. And here's another thing that when you originally started the story, you gave the baby gasoline. How did you do it? Did you go and make a baby bottle and put it in there? Did you take? Doesn't matter which way you did it. It's both intent. But the intent
you
on
asked, did he go make a baby bottle?
Yeah,
so
did
you
he
asking if he mixed formula with the gasoline?
I
don't even think that's gasoline.
Gasoline's gasoline. I
Right.
get it,
It'll
but
burn that
I'm
plastic.
looking at the intent behind it. Well, no, glass would be fine. I think inside the glass.
But
it'd
the
be fine.
baby bottles are plastic.
If it was
I
a
don't-
plastic bottle, it probably would have,
it would
made
have stained that
It
bottle.
would have melted.
It would have
Yeah.
melted
It
that
would,
bottle.
yeah.
So,
So
it probably had to be glass.
it had to be, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So that means you intentionally found a container, went to look for a container, and even if you didn't do that, you took the. It's just not. It's bad. It's
I
bad.
have too many questions.
Yeah.
I think we would go into a second show with all of the questions that I have about
Yeah.
this, because my first mind frame says, okay, what were you thinking? And I think that's everybody's first question. The second question is kind of what Comedian 96 you were saying. How did you give it to the baby?
Yeah.
You know, did you pour it in a glass? Did you go out in the garage? Where did you get the gas from? First off, did you buy the gas from the store? How did you get your hands on just some loose gas?
Was this a premeditated
Was
act?
Did you
was it
come
a
over with the
premeditated-
gas?
Right. See, it's a lot of and that's why I say this can go on for days until knowing these answers, because this ain't making no sense to me. And I understand it's spiteful. Yeah, you might be upset because the woman won't sleep with you. That's your baby mama.
Mm-hmm.
You should be past that by now. You know what I mean? And but like you say, it's not the power of the pussy, it's the weakness of the mind.
Yeah.
That make these guys do stuff like this. That was the dumbest thing he could. Your own child, anybody else, a child, period.
Mm-hmm.
For that reason, that's not something that you just do, and it's not a mistake. You understand what I'm saying? It had to be intent. That's not a mistake act. You don't mistakenly give a baby gas to drink. So and at least he did say, okay, I confess I did it. But wait a minute, dude.
Let me back up, Son Flash. He was at home. I did play a snippet, but I don't know if this was in a snippet or not. I can't recall. He was at home with the child. He doesn't live with the baby's mother. Mm-hmm. He was pretty much watching the child, and when moms came home, she smelled the gasoline and asked him, why does my house smell like gas?
Yeah.
He, of course, had no response, but then she immediately called the police. Now, the baby was, from what I understand, was awake and was just doing a lot of crying,
Right.
which, rightfully so. And so when the police came, they pretty much asked that same question you just posed, who and why did this occur?
Yeah.
And I guess that's when she pretty much, told the police, her assumption.
Her assumption.
But
Now-
I don't think he immediately admitted to her what he had
That
done.
he
But,
did until the laws got there.
right,
Now, what race is he?
unfortunately, he's African. He's an African American.
Wow.
So my thing is, when mom came home and she noticed her house smelled like gas,
right.
Yeah.
and she also noticed the baby just crying. Mom had to sense something just to so you know what, I'm finna call the police. Here's what I mean by that. Think about what would you do if you walked in your house and it just smelled like gas. You'll come sniffing around. "Damn,
Right, you
why-"
would think it's a gas leak or some shit.
Yeah,
Right.
but you wouldn't automatically think I'm finna call the police on this nigga.
Well,
So it's some signs he had been showing prior to that
For her to do that.
for her to go to say, you know what, I'm finna call the police on you.
now this is what I want to say, because a natural gas leak has an odor.
Yeah. That's a different.
It's a different smell than gasoline. It's two different smells.
Yeah. Yeah.
A natural gas leak
Like-
is odor.
Yeah. It's more like
Gas, the actual gas is like, it's something in
a
here.
chemical. Oh,
It's
yeah,
a chemical
yeah. Oh,
smell. You know what I
See,
mean?
you can see the fumes
You
from
can-
the
Right,
gasoline
right.
versus the odor.
versus the odor.
Right, I got
So I'm just trying. I mean, like I say, man, I got a lot of questions. I don't understand.
So even if it's the gasoline odor, just my thing is it had what would prompt mom to say, you know what, I'm finna call the police?
Like you say, he had to have been doing.
So it had to be
showing
something
signs.
that mom didn't. It's something that mom suspect of him. Period. For her to be so quick to call the police
After smelling gas.
Right.
She had. It doesn't say, but she had to have been recognizing signs that he was just up to no good, or that's the only thing I could think of.
And even that, even if she did recognize those signs prior to this happening, why would you allow him in your house to stay in your, now you can't deny the man his child.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right. But you left him alone.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you can't deny him his child.
Right.
Right.
If he hasn't done any physical harm to you, or he hasn't did any physical harm to the child, but you know that, okay, this nigga is a little off, but I still by law can't deny him the right to his child, then I mean you left him alone. I mean, I wouldn't leave him in my house.
So, are you saying that she's at fault for leaving?
No, I'm not. So, no, she's definitely not at fault.
Okay.
She's definitely not at fault. But for us listening to the story, we think it's horrible. We think, what kind of parent would do that to the child? Then we instantly go into say, well, why you leaving with him? You must have known something was crazy about him.
That is a question.
And so
I'm
those
sure.
are all the questions we have. But what I'm saying is you can't deny the man this child, especially if there's no history.
Right.
Of
And that's
him,
probably why she felt safe.
child abuse or nothing like that. But so I mean, it's kind of it's hard.
It is.
It's
Like
hard.
you say, if there was no history, I don't see a problem with her, having she allowed him to watch the child. This is her home, not his. They don't stay together. And she allowed him to come watch, his child.
While she ran whatever.
Did whatever she needed to do. And I don't think any mother that had relations with a father that's, the biological father of that child, would have a problem with the father watching it. Now, to come home and discover this type of issue is traumatic, not only for the child, but for the mother as well, because now she's second guessing a whole bunch of her actions.
Now, this is my thing. He did this. Of course he did, and he confessed to it. But if it was out of spite, which it was, I believe it was out of spite, and if it was out of spite to get back with the mom or whatever type of sexual relation you trying to have with her, whatever the case is, what made you think that was going to do it?
That was going to work. You know what his thought was? This is my thinking. Since you don't want to be with me, I'm going to take away the most important thing you love. Since I love you and I can't have you, I'm going to take away what you love the most.
So
which
you
was
know what
probably
that
his
sounds
baby.
like now?
Yeah.
Attempted murder.
Well, that's what he's charged with.
Yeah.
Attempted capital murder.
That's what he's charged with.
Yeah. And
That's
that's
what he's
probably
charged with.
weak mind. You know what I'm saying? The
That's-
power of the...
yeah. He needs to be
Yeah.
charged. He needs to be charged with that. I think he needs to be charged because there's no reason to harm a child. No man, I don't care what they did.
Yeah, the child didn't ask to be in this world. So
Exactly.
to come in and again, this was an infant, so she hadn't been in the world long
Right.
and already is suffering from something that she had no control over.
Right.
Comedian 96 mentioned earlier, if this guy had any type of mental issues, and in my opinion, that may be his only defense. Not that it should get him off or will get him off, but that would be the role or the way that I would possibly try to defend myself, and if I had committed a stupid act like this. But
Yeah.
the brother definitely needs to be convicted, and how severely I can't say, but again, this was his biological child that he was harming, and the charges are severe to where I don't see him getting off.
No.
So we all have children,
Exactly.
right? Now, as fathers, we all know that there's a different type of love when your child is born that you feel that you've never felt before. It's a love you really can't explain. It's just a different type of love. Now, with girls, it seems as if, wow, this is, man, I mean, even if you had a son, it's like, okay, my love for my son, I can feel that it's a different type of love. Then it seemed like with girls, although you love them equally, it's still a different type of love with a girl.
Right.
So that's number one. I'm saying that because I would ask myself, okay, man, this is your biological child.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that there's a type of love that should have automatically, that should have automatically been there. Mm-hmm. But and here's and now here's something that's interesting. I always look at criminals that commit harsh crimes, or even if the crimes are not that harsh, and you go to prison, jail, or whatever for, even if it's marijuana, even if some, for those who actually confess without a lawyer, without truly being interrogated. To me, that's a sign of remorse.
It could be taken as that, and so they're hoping they get a little leniency.
Well, not even that. Not just from the standpoint of, so I get what you're saying. So, I know that I've done things in my past, right? Mm-hmm. And things I've done in my past, I know that some things I've had instant remorse, and so I get to the point where it's like, well, damn, man, I feel so bad. And if I felt bad, if I've done something to somebody, I actually go and apologize because of instant remorse.
Okay.
Right? Now, he committed a crime. And if he wasn't interrogated, if he automatically went and said, hey, man, I did it. I'm confessing I did this. A part of me feels like there may be some instant remorse there.
I'm going to say no, only because of the method of him killing the baby, right? No,
He didn't kill the baby.
trying to kill the baby. Attempted. All right. Sorry, not killing the baby. Sorry. That's what I'm going to say. You know, most time it's a gunshot. You got to get the gunshot residue. A knife, you got to find them. Mm-hmm. Gasoline. I'm pretty sure his hands, you can't get rid of it. You know what I know. We go to the gas station, we step in the gas, you know that gas going to be with us for a couple days. Getting gas off of you, and this may coming out like a joke, and I'm not meaning it this way, but how you going to, by the time the cops come, I mean, you not in a day.
Well,
you're
keep
not
in mind, the scent was very strong just from her walking in the house.
And then the smell on him. So what the first thing they're gonna say is, why is gas on you and then gas on the baby?
Well,
I'm pretty
hear
sure
gas was on them?
I'm almost 100%. You know how easy it is to get gas, especially if he tried to put it in a baby bottle, or if he without splashing it on himself.
We don't know what he put it in, but whatever container
his hands
he had
got
it
dirty.
in was not a container for gasoline.
Right, and his hands got. What I'm saying is, whatever he did, part of that gas got on him. So there's no way he could deny it. That's the point I'm trying to get. Gas is hard to rub off.
Let me ask a question. And I'm just kind of looking at. First of all, the act is jacked up. Yeah. It's fucked up act, right?
All the way
around. But I try to see things from all angles and look at things from all angles. So is there any possibility, even if it was premeditated, you went through it and did it, is there any possibility that after it was done, he felt any kind of remorse?
Had to, for him to say he did it. For him to fess up to that, he felt bad.
If he called 911 and took the baby to the hospital.
No, he didn't call 911.
He didn't call 911. I'm just saying, is it possible? You're saying it
I
is
think
possible.
it's possible.
That's my point I was trying to make when I used the unconditional love. And saying, damn, maybe something kicked in. Like, just let's say you was a gangbanger and you did a drive-by shooting. And after you do that drive-by shooting, I'm sure that there are some gangbangers out there that do those that bang and do all that. I'm sure that there's somebody be like, God damn, why I do that? Lord, please forgive me.
Especially if you injured an innocent person.
So
I'm sure had to be some remorse. Yeah. I mean, he's human. I would like to think that he's like most humans, and to harm your own child, you had to have felt something.
Now, it could be, and that goes both ways, the remorse part, because he could have not said nothing and would have had, that's still showing no remorse at all. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, he had to have felt remorse.
Something.
In order to, in
At
order
least-
to
I'm
sell.
sorry. I just feel like I just think that the gasoline was just too embedded in him for him not to deny it.
Nothing he
Because
did.
the first thing they're gonna say is, "Why you smell like gasoline, sir?"
The thing,
I mean, that's how I.
Okay, we know that he committed the act, right?
Right.
We know. Let's say
No, I'm saying I believe he only confessed because he smelled like gasoline. I don't think there was no remorse, especially after you said he didn't call 911. He didn't call to help the baby.
So every
You
time
know-
you pump gas, Comedian 96,
It
you
gets on
smell
your
like
hand.
gas.
No. But sometimes you'll get out and someone left some on the ground and you'll step in it, and then now your whole car smell like gas for days and days. Or when
Every
it does get in your
exchange
hand,
you have with gasoline, you always
I've
come away
always
with
smelled-
residue.
Yeah, not every
you
exchange.
know what,
No.
remind me after the show
Not
to
every
tell you a story that you know about. I just don't want to say it on the air, and it involves gasoline. So remind me after the show,
All right.
a story
Story
to tell
about-
you that you know about
Okay, by gasoline.
now,
about gasoline.
never. The only time I smell gasoline at the gas pump is when it's gotten on the actual hook itself, and it may transfer to your hand,
right?
but it's not it's a scent that'll last, but it goes away after so long. And maybe it's because you're used to it, but
Right.
if you put your hand right up to your nose, you smell it.
level. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But but for people to walk in and smell gas, there's an absolute lot of gasoline
exactly,
open
which
in
tells
here.
me he had to deal. It was on him as
So,
well.
so who's to say? Who's this? Check it out. Let's say somebody walked in here with a gas can. We didn't touch the gas can. The cap on the gas can was closed, and then they opened it, took the cap off,
And left it open.
and walked out, and the gas can was open. And then we come back in a little later. What are we gonna smell?
We're gonna smell
you smell
gas.
gas.
But it ain't on.
It
us.
ain't on nobody.
and it ain't on the person.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
can't assume that gasoline was on this man.
I don't think the gas was on him, because if that was the case, he had no win in the situation anyway.
That's the point I'm trying to make. I think he was
But-
in a situation where I smell like gas and there's gas
Now,
in
they
his baby
smelled
in
the
my
gas
mouth.
in the house. I don't think.
Let me
he
go
had
and
the
admit
gas.
to it.
Well,
So,
here's the
so
thing.
I won't.
Here's the thing.
You know what
How
I'm
do
saying?
they know? How do they know that he gave the baby gas to drink? Right. They know that because he confessed
Right.
prior to
Right.
the baby going to medical for them to discover these.
They was
things.
gonna find it either way.
So,
Exactly.
but he confessed that he gave the baby gas. So just looking at the baby, you probably couldn't even tell. The mom just noticed the baby was crying.
Yeah.
And when babies cry, all you're gonna see is a lot of slobber
Yeah.
and tears.
and she may have smelled gas.
But
on the
but you
baby.
can't. But you wouldn't be able to see that. Oh, you drank something. You drank some poison. You drank something.
yeah.
So you wouldn't be able to see that to tell that he actually fed the baby or gave the baby gas to drink.
Right.
But he confessed.
Right. And then also, just like you said, you might be able to see it, but he knew it. So for him not to call 911, for him not to call and tell a assistant, yeah, you confessed when them laws got there. But at the time, you didn't think to, hey,
there
let
was
me
no
call.
remorse because he didn't call.
That's
the
why
law.
I say I don't think there's
It
no.
went both ways.
Yeah.
I think there was no remorse after doing it, but then there was some once the
Once
police,
the police
got,
got
there
involved.
and they realized it was gas.
Yeah.
Well, again, I don't feel that that's go. Having remorse or not is not going to help his
At all.
situation.
No.
You know, and the crazy part, his bail was only $250,000, which I thought was rather low for this type of crime.
Because 10% of that would have been
25,000.
$25,000.
Now check this out. When a bail like that is low, right? He probably didn't have a criminal history.
Right.
So because the charge was so egregious, they still gave him a bail. But for that type of charge, it seems to us that charge
Should be
that
higher.
It should be higher. But if he ain't been in no trouble like that, it's gonna be low.
It's going to be low.
So that right there tells me, okay, well maybe this dude don't even have a criminal history.
And here's my thought on that. I don't think nobody in his family would give him the $25,000 to get
Not
out
after
of
that.
No, I mean, even folks on his side
Yeah, they're
have
not
to be
gonna-
upset with him.
I mean, you'd have to take sides with him to give him the
There's
bond
no,
money.
yeah. There's no, how can you explain to any
Yeah.
of your friends why you gave an infant some gas? You
Your-
can't.
Your infant.
Yeah, your own seeds.
It's crazy.
you shouldn't probably have no friends.
Just
after
think
that.
about it though, man. An infant, their organs and all of this is still growing and very fragile. So gasoline.
But being
You
that,
know what? It probably didn't. A lot of it probably didn't even get down before the baby started crying and he panicked and stopped or
It's
whatever.
very possible.
Because we know that if gas can kill.
Yeah.
That's a poison that can
yeah.
kill. That baby didn't die. So I'm just sure
It wasn't
burned,
enough.
It just burned
Right.
a lot of the
She
mouth.
may not have ingested
Yeah,
enough,
yeah.
if any at all.
Just probably got
Any
the
at
first
all,
part just
yeah.
burned.
And she was
Exactly.
going
He
off on
stopped,
that.
yeah.
And the way she was crying, I'm sure, is what triggered the mom. Because normally when babies cry, they either wet or they hungry. You changing them or you either feeding them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure,
Well, this ain't no. This wasn't no like newborn. This was like a toddler, right?
well, I'm assuming, well, they say infant. So,
Oh,
Yeah,
infant.
infant,
Oh,
infant.
okay.
so
under 12 months.
Oh, I thought it
Probably.
was a toddler. Okay.
nah, it was an infant.
Damn.
Probably can't walk.
Yeah.
Didn't say how
Oh,
old she
yeah,
was.
yeah. He fucked up.
But totally was at his disposal.
Yeah.
Man, you know what's so crazy? Man, I know we talking about it. He's the biological father, but y'all think about when we was younger, all the babysitters that we had. I know I had some terrible. Some of my babysitters I should have not been sat with. I'm serious. That they should have gotten arrested.
I'll be honest with you, Comedian 96. I don't remember no babysitters.
Yeah,
I didn't
I didn't
have many.
because I had
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
uncles, aunts, and
I had a big brother.
and my grandparents.
Oh,
and
okay.
mom,
So for me, it was different. My mom, we moved to the southwest. We were on the north side of Houston, and then we moved over to Third Ward. I was 5. 5 came over here when I was 7 when I came up to the south side. So from 7 on up to now, I'm south side. And she was just me, my mom, my sister. So my mom had to go to work. I was 8 at the time, 7 going on 8, and my sister was 4. So shoot, it was just by chance, and some of the babysitters just did not work out. I remember one babysitter, man, we wanted some rice. This babysitter act like she boiled it, poured it in the pot to boil it, but didn't boil it. So we thought it was boiling because we seen the eye on because we were kids, and they served it to us hard right out the box, just like that. And horrible babysitters, man.
Question, Comedian 96. So, is it really babysitting if you're watching your own child? Is it still considered babysitting?
Not if it's your own child. I was just pointing out like that's your child. No,
Yeah.
that's your child.
You brought up babysitting as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just feel like if
I
it's your own child, that's your responsibility.
That's your own responsibility.
That's
Yeah, I was just trying to flip it. That's it. I'm just flipping. I'm thinking about situations that we were probably in when we were younger, even though it wasn't your biological. It was just probably a babysitter that could have missed you off, but we still here.
There's no reason why you should have had a babysitter at 8 years old.
You notice you said we, but you
7
were the
going
only
on
one
8,
that
you don't
had a
think so?
story.
No.
7 going on 8.
I didn't have a babysitter at that age, bro.
Yeah,
I was going to
7
elementary
going
school.
on
Look,
8.
we knew to come home from school, go in the house, lock the door, and don't
Man,
open it.
a lot of us was latchkey kids, man.
I
We didn't have
was.
money
I
to pay.
And
was.
you come home, man, and you know,
But do you think that's right to have a 7-year-old at home by themselves?
It was done, man.
No.
It was
That's
done, bro. I'm
It's
telling
definitely
you.
not right in 2024,
Not
but back
now.
in
Yeah,
our
that's
day,
what
there
I'm
was no problem
saying.
with
Things
it.
was different
Back then. Right.
You
but
know,
you
it
cannot
was
do
less
that now.
going on. No, now you can't do
That's
it.
what
But
I'm
back
saying.
in our day, that's why I don't remember a babysitter, because we would go to school, come home, and my mom would say, when you get in here, lock the door,
Exactly.
don't let nobody in my house. Mm-hmm. Period, point blank. And you understood that.
Yes.
And everybody on your block understood that. Your friends knew your mama didn't want them in her house.
And what's crazy, everybody that was on the block knew exactly what the situation was. So,
exactly.
you ain't have to worry about them trying to take advantage of knowing that your mom or your dad wasn't at home. They knew you was there by yourself, and
Yeah.
there was still no worries back in the day. But now,
Yeah.
See,
Shit is
what,
terrible.
what I think could have prevented this from happening, and I don't know the financial status of the mother or the father, but I think a daycare probably would have been able to prevent this type
A lot
of situation.
people can't afford. That's what I was saying. Like my
Yeah.
mom couldn't
Right.
afford it.
Daycare is
And
expensive.
She probably couldn't
so
afford
she
it.
had to.
But again, this was the biological father, so she had no reason to suspect
to
that he would do
suspect it,
anything
yeah.
of this sort. You know,
But see, when you see situations like this and you think about the cost of child care, they need to bring that down, because this is not only time this is going to happen. This is going something similar It's going to happen again because these people can't afford the prices of daycare to have these kids in a safe place. Now, again, he was the parent. He was wrong. No question, no doubt. And he should do whatever amount of time they give him. I truly believe he should. But getting back to the daycare, which could have prevented this situation, the cost of daycare is up tremendously high. You know, and when parents can't afford the child care, stuff like this happen.
Yeah, they're forced to resort to things that they may not originally consider doing, but hey, they still have to take care of certain things, and you know these jobs don't
they don't pay enough.
Well, they don't pay enough, but some jobs don't even give a fuck. You know, if you have a child or you don't have child care. That the thing that they're worried about is you coming in and doing your job.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
They don't care about your kids' well-being.
Right. So I got one last question, man, before we close. Seeing that this was an infant child, do you fellas think that this man will be able to have any type of relationship with his daughter in the future?
They're going to strip that.
I think it should be behind the glass. When they put him in prison, if you're going to see your daughter and she's of age, because she's not going to know that this happened to her.
But you know she going to be told.
Somebody's going to tell her.
This story.
But a situation like that, I wouldn't tell the child until she's of legal age, 18, that this happened to her. But in the event that does happen and he's in prison, I think the only time that she should see him is in prison. Unless she's 18 years old and he's out and she's old enough to go around her dad. No matter what kind of relationship you want to have with her, I still don't think it's fair to tell that child that information until she's old enough to understand and process it.
I agree with that.
So no, he shouldn't have visitation rights to his daughter until his time is served or she's of legal age 18.
Yeah, I agree with Slash. Once she's of legal age, then that'll be her decision on whether or not she want to have a relationship with them. And K Money, so I want to also say, I know you're getting ready to close, but I also want to touch on something when we talked about leaving the child alone at home, and then you Slash and myself, we didn't have babysitters, but then once Community 96 put an age to how old he was at home, and Slash and I echo with Slash saying that 8 years old, he was coming home on doing his own. And I was like, yeah, we were latchkey kids,
right?
So what I want to do, and just to go over something real quick.
Go ahead.
According to worldpopularview.com, right, and this is based upon your state, right? So the state of Illinois, the age alone is 14. Colorado, Connecticut, Mississippi, 12. Kentucky, 11. South Dakota, Tennessee, Washington, 10. Georgia, 9. Maryland, North Carolina, 8. Nebraska, Oklahoma, 7. Kansas, 6. No age in 36 states. Notice I didn't mention Texas.
Right.
Again, no age in 30.
Okay.
No age in 36 states. Wow. So I think that when your parent recognize who you are as a child and know what you can handle, then your parents would put on you what they think you can handle. How much responsibility can he handle?
Exactly.
Can I give him this key to put around his neck?
You know your child.
And open this door and not open this door for me and me only, for strangers.
Right.
So based upon your age, your parent would know what you can handle and how much responsibility you can handle.
Right.
Now, everybody know that Comedian 96 didn't get the key to the house till he was 17.
6. I was 6 when I got that
17.
key around my neck.
Well,
I was 6 when I got that key around my neck.
Y'all know just as well as I know, he still needs a babysitter.
Yes, but still, I still need that key around my neck too.
Well, we know the child, like the story said, is in recovery, thank God, and hopefully there's no severe effects from this gasoline. And I pray that in the future, man, this man can offer forgiveness. Not saying that it'll be accepted, but hopefully he is remorseful for his actions and has time to think about the severity of the torment that he did to his daughter. And we hate to hear stories like this, but again, this is a different type of parenting from last week. You had tough love we spoke on versus this being spiteful love, but it wasn't spiteful to the child. This was spiteful to the baby's mother. I appreciate y'all joining and listening. Make sure y'all go out there and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's a free subscription. This concludes another True Tuesday episode, and be sure you tune in tomorrow for another episode of Women Wednesday with Freddie G. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Sky Podcast, Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Sky Podcast, and if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and or subscribe. And to all my 52 Sky faithfuls, it may be new to you, but if you heard it here, then you know it's true.
Coexistence, but